Greetings, class of 2022, parents and future graduates. I'd like to welcome you to our official parent information evening, or normally under normal circumstance it would be an evening, but again, due to restrictions in gathering, we have decided to combine the information in a presentation that you, students and parents, can view at any time from any of your electronic devices. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Assistant Principal Mark Rose here at Spruce Grove Composite, and my partner in crime is Mrs. Marie Porter, our grade counselor. Mrs. Porter is replacing Mrs. Stewart, who is retired this year, and sends her greetings as well. This evening, or in this presentation, we'll be covering several ideas and information that is going to be very important to our grade 12s as they go out throughout their year, but also to you as parents to answer some of your questions that might be lingering as we approach graduation. The points that we're going to cover today involves diploma requirements, upcoming diploma exams, digital identity, which is separate from our PSD identity, scholarship information, post-secondary planning, as well as post-secondary requirements. Mrs. Porter and I share several roles here at Spruce Grove Composite, specifically supporting our grade 12s throughout graduation. Mrs. Porter and I both share the role as course change and dealing with conflicts. We also deal with scholarship information. Specifically, Mrs. Porter plays the role in having meetings and conferences with students to discuss post-secondary requirements and career counseling. My role, I deal with tracking students regarding attendance to classes, grades and credits, and also grad requirements. Mrs. Porter will carry on with the first portion of the presentation, just to provide information that is going to be pertinent.
Thank you very much. So on this screen is listed the Alberta High School grad requirements as set out by Alberta Education. So in order to earn an Alberta High School diploma, a student must attain a minimum of 100 credits. Within those 100 credits, one of the courses must be an English at the 30 level or the grade 12 level, and also a social studies at the grade 12 level. So that can either be a 30-1 or a 30-2. Next one is a 20 level math and science. So students have to have math and science up to the grade 11 level for the high school diploma. Students' next line is 3 credits of physical education taken at the grade 10 level, and also 3 credits in a course called COM, Career and Life Management. Majority of students at Spruce Grove Comp have both of those courses done in their grade 10 year. Next is 10 credits at a 30 level course other than English and social. So if a student is carrying on with math and science and doing a math 30 and a science 30, those courses would cover that category of 10 credits at a 30 level. If a student is not taking math and science to the grade 12 level, they need 10 other credits in any course at the 30 level. It can be anything from the CTS, fine arts, second languages, a work experience, any course as long as it starts with the number 3, so we know it's at the 30 level. Lastly are 10 credits from any of the, what I'm going to call option courses, so career and technology study courses, fine arts, second languages, phys ed 20 or 30, in addition to some other K&E courses, registered apprenticeship program courses, and locally developed courses. Diploma exams. Yes, they are back this year. All the diploma exams are worth 30% of the final grade. Courses that have both a Part A and a Part B, such as English, Social Studies, French Language Arts, Études Sociales, consists of both a written part worth 15% of the grade and a multiple choice part also worth 15% of the grade. All students are allowed double time if required, so time should not be an issue for diploma exams. And the other thing to note is that diploma exams have fixed dates, so we cannot adjust a diploma examination sitting. They are set out by the Alberta government, and we cannot change those dates. If a student had to be away for a particular date, for whatever the case may be, if they were sick that day or something and couldn't come in to write, they would sit the next sitting. So if you miss a November diploma exam, the next time to make that up would be January, and then following April and June as well.
Just a piece of advice regarding the diploma exam. It's really important that if at all there's any conflict, any medical concerns during that time, please communicate with Mrs. Porter or I prior to those scheduled events. It's really critical that we communicate with students and parents to ensure that, again, if we have to make an adjustment during that time, perhaps reschedule or re-register a writing for a later date that we communicate clearly.
The next slide is just regarding PowerSchool. Most students are on PowerSchool and check their marks and attendance regularly. But just a note to parents, if you haven't registered with PowerSchool yet, we encourage you to do so, just to stay on track of anything that's going on in terms of the students' learning. When students graduate from Parkland School Division, they will no longer be a student at Parkland School Division, and as such, Parkland School Division will get rid of your PSD email. So it's really important that students also create a MyPass account, which is an Alberta education account that helps them keep track of any of their courses, any of their marks. It allows them to access transcripts and other things that would be required. So in order to create a MyPass account, a student does need a personal email account, and lots of things are moving forward with the My Alberta Digital ID, which is a part of it as well. This slide is just some information about MyPass. When a student goes to mypass.alberta.ca, a screen similar to this shows up, and a student would sign in with an education account. If they're signing in with an education account, you can create it for the first time as long as you've got a personal email address, your Alberta student ID number, which is on your comp card, and their date of birth. Here's some information about the MyPass account. So just the steps that are required in order to create an account. So you can see you sign up with an education account, receive an email link, confirm your email, and then put in the ASN, which is Alberta Student ID number, found on your comp card, DOB or date of birth, and click Activate Account. It is super important that students create the MyPass account because this is the only place that they can access their diploma marks. So after having written a diploma exam, this is where they're going to go in order to get those diploma marks. This is also where they would go to apply for student aid. So if they're looking for funding to go to post-secondary, it's all linked to this My Alberta Digital ID. If they're applying to a post-secondary, they do that through Apply Alberta, also linked to this. If they're going into a trade and want to pursue an apprenticeship, My Trade Secrets is attached to your My Alberta Digital ID, as are other Alberta e-services and health records. It is very difficult for students to know in grade 12 what it is exactly that they might be doing after high school. All students at Spruce Grove Comp use My Blueprint when they went through the COM curriculum, and they can still use My Blueprint as a really good resource to take a look at career exploration and what that future looks like for life beyond high school. I encourage students to talk to their parents, friends, and family and see what resources they have available to them as to what they would like to pursue after high school. Lots of the post-secondaries are doing open houses. Some of them are virtual, some of them are in person. We do have a list of those post-secondary open houses and would be happy to share that with students. Post-secondary advisors, there are several post-secondaries that are actually coming to Spruce Grove Comp and will do one-on-one sessions with our students, and so they can have a really individual approach to getting really valuable information. Another website that we use frequently is the ALICE website, alis.alberta.ca. And that is an Alberta-specific website that can help with career exploration, occupations, educational programs within Alberta. So it's very useful. This slide just shows what the ALICE website looks like and what are some of the things that they can explore on that website. So I really encourage students to use that one. It is a very good resource. Post-secondary visits. So we will be hosting some one-to-one sessions with some colleges and universities. Some of them are virtual, some of them are in person. Here's the first few that we have set up. So NAIT, the University of Calgary, Concordia, and University of Alberta will all have presentations for Spruce Grove Conf. The ELA Virtual Fair. ELA is an organization in Alberta that represents over 28 post-secondary institutions throughout the province of Alberta. Their post-secondary fairs are all virtual this year. They start in September, and they will have more upcoming dates. So if a student is interested in those and exploring post-secondary options within the province of Alberta, I encourage you to come to Student Services, and we're happy to help look into that. It is important that students, grade 12 students, sign up for the Remind app or follow Student Services on Instagram to hear about more information throughout the year. That's also how Mr. Rose will do some communicating regarding Grad. At this time, it's important that students think possibly beyond the big three that would be our normal draws from Spruce Grove Comp. So we do send a lot of students to the University of Alberta, NAIT, and MacEwan, but do realize that there are, like I was saying, over 28 institutions within Alberta alone where students can go to get some post-secondary education, whether that be college, a technical institute, or a university. And that doesn't even look at all of the programs that are available to students outside the province of Alberta as well. And we can get more information on any or all of those as well. This is a list. I won't read through them, but you can stop this slide if you're interested in taking a look. This is when the open houses are at present. Anticipating for each of the post-secondary institutions that you see here. This is Alberta institutions, and again, if you're looking at outside the province, we can look up those dates, or you can look for those on the appropriate website. And as you can see, they typically start in October and go into the month of November. So this is the season that open houses are either happening virtually or in person. So post-secondary institutions do open applications on October 1st in Alberta. So that comes up really, really quickly. It is important that you know whether it's a program that is first come, first qualified, first served, in which case it's really important to apply very early. And it's also important to know what the application deadlines are. So if it's not first come, first served, it's more important that you have the marks that are required to get into that program and make sure that you apply before the deadline is due. Deadlines typically start in February and continue on sometimes right up until the day that classes start. So you just need to know what that is, and they do really vary by institution and by program. The other thing to point out is that they will talk about minimum averages that are required to get in, and know whether or not that's the case, or if there's a competitive course average to get into a particular program. If it's a competitive program, it's going to be the higher the mark is going to increase your likelihood of getting accepted to the program. Some programs will have other criteria that would be required for post-secondary institutions, such as auditions, first aid, physical fitness, those kinds of things. So you just need to be aware of what other criteria may be expected when you're applying. When students go to apply to a post-secondary institution in Alberta, all Alberta post-secondary institutions use the Apply Alberta website. It can be linked through any of the individual websites, but all applications are done online. They do need to create that My Alberta Digital ID in order to apply for a post-secondary. In order to apply, you don't have to do it in one sitting. So you can get started, it saves after every page, and then you can come back, log in to resume an application, and continue. So this website you may see as students go about applying for post-secondary. This is just some of the information that you need to before you start an Apply Alberta website. So again, that My Alberta Digital ID, your Alberta Student ID number, your high school, and high school courses and marks. If a student has a MyPass account, they can get their high school courses and marks really easily from that, and then it's just a matter of transferring it over. Most institutions do have an application fee attached to their post-secondary application, so you have to have a credit card ready in order to pay that application fee. Once a student has applied, it's really important that they watch their email, because they will get a post-secondary email and some kind of campus ID information. And then it's important, once they've received that initial email and have set up their campus ID for whatever the portal is that they're using, it's important that they follow that portal page, because that portal page is what's going to continue to update their profile, and whether there is more information they have to complete in order to have a complete application, that's where they're going to look for it. Sometimes institutions will ask for proof of enrollment. Proof of enrollment on the next page is looking for a progress report or a timetable from Spruce Grove Composite High School. You can download that from the PowerSchool page and then put that information on your student portal for wherever it is that you're applying. Super important to check your application status and follow that portal so that you can see what's happening to your application and if anything else is required. Certainly, if you have any questions, I'm happy to try and help in that regard, but just important that you stay on top of that. Information about awards and scholarships. So if a student is going on to post-secondary, it is really important that you apply for scholarships, because all post-secondary is expensive. And so you want to access as much free money as you can possibly get. On the Spruce Grove Composite High School website, under the For Students tab, there is another slide there you can see that says awards and scholarship, some for grade 10s and 11, and some for grade 12. So if the students go to the grade 12 site, they'll see some scholarships listed by month and other scholarships for graduation. So there will be an application that will come in the spring that students can apply for scholarships from Spruce Grove Comp and the supporting community organizations. There are also external scholarship websites that students can take a look at. It really varies by what it is that a student has done. Scholarships, some scholarships are based strictly on marks, others are on volunteer activity or leadership activities. And then some of them are odd and unusual, and they've got really unique criteria that would make a student eligible for them. So it's just really important that a student take a look at those and start searching those out and applying for as many as possible. One scholarship that all students in Alberta are eligible for is the Alexander Rutherford Scholarship. So the Alexander Rutherford Scholarship, there are two cutoff criteria. One is for a 75% average and above, and the other is for an 80% average and above. It's based on marks in grades 10, 11, and 12. The criteria are here. A student has to use their English mark, has to use at least 2 core subjects, and any 2 other subjects at the appropriate grade level. If a student is eligible for all 3 years, the maximum amount, it's a total of $2,500 that a student would be eligible to win. So that is a great one. Students do have to apply for it. You apply for it after you've received your final marks in July or early August. You put in your application. Again, it's through Student Aid, so studentaid.alberta.ca, and a student can go from there. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those as well. Back to you, Mr. Rose.
So grad class of 2022 will occur on, the ceremony will occur on Saturday, June 11th. The students will and parents will have option to attend the graduation ceremony in a formal way or just an observation. So option A is all students participate in a normal way to move forward in regular graduation planning. The event will occur on June 11th in the Edmonton Expo site. All tickets are purchased online. It'll start in May. Those dates will be posted on the website or announced during school hours, and that will be announced. Option B is not normal, and we will move forward with graduation in an alternative way. So again, based on how things are going currently with our COVID situations, we want to make sure that you're aware of some of the possibilities. Again, we follow the guidelines from Alberta Health Services and their recommendation, and we hope to serve the class of 2022 as best we possibly can. There will be a grad committee meeting, and it will start soon. We're asking students to listen out for announcements and watch out for the remind messages once you set that up. Whenever we move forward with option A or B, participation in any planned event must be in line to complete their diploma requirements. So Mrs. Porter and I are already working on ensuring that everyone will have the required credits that is needed for graduation, as well as all the requirements. 80 credits must be achieved by the end of at least Q2, again, to reduce the level of stress for most students, so that they can focus on getting really good grades and also focus on meeting graduation requirements that's going to be necessary for post-secondary entrance. A passing grade is also required in all your course. 50% is that passing grade. If you're doing any independent study, 75% of the work should be completed by May with a passing grade to get on that grad list. Obviously, positive attendance is really critical. Again, currently we're in a quarter system. If you're missing a significant amount of days in those classes, it will impact your grade. And again, for some of us with goals to go to post-secondary schooling following high school, it is imperative that you end up with the best grades possible to meet the competitive average. First grad list will be posted in February, again, to help us understand exactly who is on target to meet grad requirements, and it allows us to do some chasing around for those who perhaps might be missing 1 or 2 credits, or perhaps working on work experience or RAC credits at the time, so that everything tightens up and finishes off neatly. The remind for the class of 2022 will be set up. Mrs. Weeb is available in student services, and of course Mrs. Porter and I are here to post very important information on that remind system. You can also text this number that's posted here to quickly link yourself to that information. We encourage you to get connected to Remind as soon as possible. This is a very critical year to share information and for students to ask questions so they can remain updated. Next step, if you'd like an appointment with myself or Mrs. Porter, contact Mrs. Weeb in Student Services. All throughout the year, we're available again for post-secondary planning. You'll book with Mrs. Porter. For graduation planning, you book with myself, and we'll be glad to answer any of your questions. Here are our email address. Feel free to email each of us on this list. But again, it's really important to do some face-to-face as well. and just sit and have conversation about any questions you might have or concerns. A lot of times for us, students kind of wait until the last minute to ask some valuable questions that can be answered earlier. We appreciate your time and your focus. Again, you're free to rewind this information on any valuable parts that you think you might need to review. And if you have any further questions, come and see us. Enjoy your year and continue to work hard. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.